Hey guys, Toyhouze here, where we talk about how to get great at gaming. Today we're going to talk about how Wrath made WoW easy. So much easier than in the past, in fact, that the term Wrath Baby was coined for players who started playing WoW during Wrath and have no concept of how hard it used to be. We've all seen the game get progressively easier, 2 times around now in fact, starting with TBC. Making everything faster and easier. Elite quests became non-elite, allowing you to avoid grouping with others if you didn't want to, or if you couldn't find anyone because the world is empty. Leveling in general went through an experience squeeze. More experience once you reached a certain level, more quest experience, tons of new quests added in TBC, Mud Sprocket, which made leveling much smoother and much easier. Not to mention that Outland was a perfectly streamlined leveling experience, starting you in one zone and seamlessly leading you to the next. Where back in the old world, you had to look all over for your next quest hub. From Stranglethorn to Desolace, Alterac Mountains to Dustwallow Marsh, you were bouncing from zone to zone all the time just to gain a few levels. Fast forward to Wrath, and you've got a new interactive map showing you exactly where to go for quests and the exact radius where the quest takes place on the map. In the days before Questy, you had to either look at the quest up in your internet browser using Thoughtbot, or God forbid, read the quest text in its entirety. But even then, some quests didn't give a whole lot of info on what you needed to do, which honestly was kind of cool and gave a sense of mystery to the world, in my opinion. In Wrath, there's now the random dungeon finder, unlocking for players at level 15, and teleports you and your entire group to the dungeon and gives you a ton of bonus experience and a unique item, Blue. No need to win a roll to get gear from a run. We're all winners here in Wrath. There's also the addition of achievements. Here's this gold star to award you for learning Apprentice First Aid. A job well done, kid. While you're still leveling in the old world as a Wrath baby, a ton of other stuff was changed too. The Mallet of Zul'Farrak is no longer required to summon Gazrilla. Carrots for everyone. The Scepter of Celebros is no longer required to create a portal to the Earthsong Falls area in Inner Moradon, and the Seal of Ascension is no longer required to open the door leading to Upper Blackrock Spire, but who's going up there anyway in Wrath? While we're talking about leveling, let's not forget heirlooms, pieces of gear which get stronger as you level and grant bonus experience from monsters and quests. There's a huge boost to leveling speed and makes the whole experience much easier through heirlooms. Once you reach Northrend, that zone is basically like Outland 2.0. Instead of one single entry point, there's 2. You've got Borean Tundra or Howling Fjord. The reason this is beneficial is because now there's less competition for quests, mobs, nodes, etc. in a really packed server. I mean, that's not even to mention phasing, right? And then from there you can progress inland much more smoothly. Now once you hit max level, you'll find that attunements in Wrath have been almost entirely phased out, compared to vanilla where the Onyxia attunement was brutal in Classic. In TBC, Black Temple and Serpent Shrine Cavern attunements both were time investments, and Hyjal required you to at least complete SSC and TK to get in. Now in Wrath, there's only 2 attunements for the whole expansion. Heroic ICC and Trial of the Crusader, which require you to bring down the final boss in the non-heroic versions of these instances to access the heroic version. Now speaking of heroics in TBC, you had to unlock heroics by getting revered, which was actually later lowered to honored, with a faction in order to unlock the heroic version of a dungeon. And heroics were actually a big part of attunements, whether that was the Black Temple attunement, the Kara attunement, etc. And to get revered, you usually had to run the exact same dungeon over and over and over for reputation, whether that dungeon was Shattered Halls, Steam Vaults, or Shadow Labyrinth. Now in Wrath, grinding any reputation is as easy as throwing on the tabard once you get friendly and just grinding any level 80 dungeon, so it's not as repetitive. And if you end up dying, no sweat. Running as a ghost is 50% faster in Wrath of the Lich King, and Night Elf Wisp speed ratio is buffed accordingly if you were curious. The world itself became friendlier even, with Blizzard's attempt to reduce griefing by changing how tapping a creature works. Instead of the first player to deal damage to a creature tapping it, all player spells which cause a creature to become aggressive to you will now also immediately cause the creature to be tapped by you. That means dots can instant tap mobs now too in Wrath. Aquatic Form, which is for druids, is now available available from trainers at level 16. Now this quest chain I remember used to be a massive pain, having to go swim all over the place trying to gather those quest items. Now you can just learn it from a trainer. From needing to go to Scholomance for the alchemy table in classic vanilla WoW to make your flask, to not needing an alchemy table at all to create flasks in Wrath, and even in vanilla, in order to level up your enchanting to max, you had to go deep into Uldaman to find the trainer in there. So these are just some examples of how professions used to be much more difficult back in vanilla. Even opening chests, skinning mobs, and gathering nodes are all much faster in Wrath than it was in vanilla. This all shows that Blizzard progressively made the game easier as time went on, and as time continues to go by, we see that Blizzard hasn't stopped. The Dark Portal Pass introduced a level boost, which you can skip all that content that was actually just made easier entirely and go straight to level 58. Now, as we approach the dawn of Wrath of the Lich King Classic, we're looking at possibly a Wrath equivalent to the Dark Portal Pass, a level 68 boost for all characters, and even possibly for Death Knights only. I recently sent out a bunch of surveys on this topic, and the results were pretty surprising. Nearly half of people who responded said that they would buy the Wrath equivalent of the Dark Portal Pass, which would mean something like a new Wrath flavored mount for free, a level 68 character boost, and random toys. Nearly half of the community. So this making of the game easier seems to split the community in half. Half the people want it easier and half want it to stay difficult. We can see this with some of the community wanting to play Season of Mastery / Vanilla Classic and keeping it there, and others want to progress to TBC and even Wrath, where it gets easier and easier. I don't play retail anymore, but when I did last play in BFA, I literally could have been asleep and my character would not die. It's pretty crazy. With all that said, what direction do you want to see Wrath take? Would it be refreshing if there was no equivalent to the Dark Portal Pass in Wrath? Do you think that's even possible at this point? Considering Blizzard has left behind #no changes based on the addition of the Chrono Boon Displacer in Vanilla, the nerf to drums in TBC, what changes are next for Wrath? Do you want any changes at all? Let's hear what the community thinks is the right way forward in Wrath. Comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Take care.